Hey everybody, it's William with Sodium Halogen here again, and we hope that you've been enjoying the experiments that we've been working with you on. We know that internally we learn a lot more from doing than we do, and seeing examples than we do just kind of reading instructions. And so we thought that we might switch it up a little bit for this week and instead kind of deep dive into one of our experiments to show you how we would actually go through that process. And so in order to help do that, I've got my friend and business partner, Chance Smith, that's here. Chance helped build and runs the development team in the Jackson office here at Sodium Halogen and is involved in most of the projects that we do, sprinkling in his awesomeness. So we're going to talk with you a little bit more about brainstorming and how we're going to run through that this morning.
Yeah, and at least to give an example of how we've done it with a client, we've got Dev Catalyst as one that we talk about often, is that when the users of the platform we built for Dev Catalyst, it's a platform for students to learn how to code. And so what we did with that was being able to think through what the users needed to be able to do on that platform, if they were a teacher, a student, or an admin. And so we used to use brainstorming as a way to figure out what those features would be.
Yeah, and just really kind of thinking about what are the things that each user type needs to do. We had some ideas of what we thought it was, but we didn't want to miss anything, and especially not miss something important. So we brainstormed. I think there were 3 or 4 of us, and each person kind of thought, okay, what are all the things that a teacher needs to be able to do? And then once we came up with all of the ideas, then
it's being able to crowdsource those and figure out which ones were the most important for version 1. And we're not going to be able to do all of them.
Yeah. So that's an example of how we've used it with a client, and then today we want to do something that's a little more applicable, hopefully, to you. You might not be figuring out user roles for a piece of software, but you might be thinking about a way to brainstorm and generate new ideas on a topic. And so that's what we're going to be doing this morning. And we're going to brainstorm on, this whole series has been talking about, it's for owners and people who think like owners. And so obviously everybody that is an owner of a business wants their team to think like an owner. So we don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to brainstorm on ways to help our team think like an owner and walk through the process.
Yeah, and so from one of the previous videos, we've got the worksheet we've given you, and it shows all the steps of what we're about to do here.
Yeah, so you can follow that, or you can just break out this video and watch it again. Hopefully it will lead you through all of the steps. So with that, we're going to take the tools of our trade. We've got our sticky notes, we've got our Sharpies, and we're going to lay out a grid of stickies, put out at least 8 stickies, and then we'll brainstorm from there.
So we've got a few stickies laid out. That lets us be able to get the ideas out of our head a whole lot quicker instead of having to pull stickies off each time. It can be distracting to the other people in the room, and so lay out 8, 9, whatever, and then just have them in front of you so you can just add each idea, 1 idea per sticky.
All right, the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to set a timer. Everybody has a smartphone, so you don't have to have anything sophisticated. I mean, we've got stickies, Sharpie, your brain, and a phone. Pretty much everybody's got one of those. So I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes, and what we're going to do is 1 idea per sticky. So we're not writing headlines. We instead are going to be putting a short phrase or maybe just 1 word that's on there. And there are no bad ideas, so I want you to kind of unplug the part of your brain that is critical that says, I'm not sure if this is a good idea or a bad idea. Instead, if it hits the front of your brain, write it down. If you run out of stickies, then pull out more, put them on, and keep going. You want to exhaust the creative mind. But right now, I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes, and we're going to come up with as many ideas as we can. Oh, one more thing. If you get stuck, then just write down any nonsensical word like wagon wheel or chicken wing. It doesn't matter. What it'll do is it will help unstick your brain to help you kind of come up with another idea that's there. So 2 minutes on the timer, sticky notes and Sharpie. We're going to brainstorm ideas of how we can encourage our team to think more like owners. Ready? Here we go. All right, so we can go ahead and finish writing the last thought that we had. But now we have all of our sticky notes laid out in front of us here, and that was actually harder than I thought it was going to be. So maybe 2 minutes wasn't enough time. Maybe we should have done 3. Again, the great thing is that we just wasted 2 minutes of our time. We can do another one right after that and say, hey, let's do another 2 minutes and keep going. There's no hard and fast rules here on this. And it looks like you had orange written down. That's where you got stuck and had to write down a nonsensical word. I did the same thing here with hot dog. And honestly, my last one was I looked and saw that I had 20 seconds. And I really wished I had been able to come up with one more idea. So I just wrote down, I really want one more idea. So, all right, we're going to take these and set those aside. Those are definitely not going to be our top ones. And then what we're doing is we're using a method of dump and sort. So we've dumped the ideas out of our head. We're not worried about whether they're good ideas or bad ideas yet. But now each person is going to look at their ideas that they have and figure out, we're going to use the sort method, right? So if I could only do 2 of these things, if I were only going to keep 2 of these ideas, which ones would I keep? So Chance is going to do that with his, I'm going to do that with mine, figure out our top 2. The rest of them I'm going to stack right over here. So we'll do that now. Okay, I've got my top 2. You've got your top 2. So now what we want to do is share those ideas with one another. It'd be a long video if you heard us discuss this, but Chance and I are going to just talk a little bit about, like, we know that when you write something down, you're writing a short thing and your handwriting might not be very good. So it's not as important what you write as much as it's the prompt to help you communicate with your team member what that idea means. So we're going to go through that now. Before we do that though, these are our ideas that we're not going to keep. Right? So these are the ones we're keeping. These are the ones we're not going to keep. And what are we going to do with those, Chance?
We get to tear them up. They're gone.
This is his favorite part.
It is.
Most people really get upset about that, but what is it that you always say about this part of it?
Sounds like productivity.
Yeah. And it gives us permission
to
focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that phrase you came up with. All right. So now we've got our 2 ideas. Let's talk about them.
Okay.
All right, so Chance and I have talked about our stickies that we have here. We've each explained what we meant by the chicken scratch that we wrote down. And I know that for me, saying it out loud made it easier for me to really have a better understanding of what I actually wrote here. Just saying it aloud was different. And then hopefully he has a better understanding of what I'm talking about as well. Main thing is we were able to share what these stickies actually mean. The idea behind them is more powerful than the actual words that we wrote. Right. So now that we have 4 stickies, what are we going to do next, Chance?
So we'll stack rank. That's something we're going to have in a future video, but at least having the opportunity to explain that later. But we're going to basically sort and find the one that's most important to us.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've sorted them in the order we find are most important to start with, and so for us, we're going to start on sharing success metrics with the team. We think that's the most easiest and the most rewarding, and we can start doing that, the next week or so.
Yeah. So this is the one that we're going to go with, and so our action items coming out of this brainstorming session is for us to talk internally and even with the rest of the team. What are the success metrics that really matter, and what is a good way for us to be able to share those with the team, so then everyone kind of has a picture of what it is, what success looks like, right? So if we want them to think like an owner, they have to have some of the information that an owner would have to know that spending 3 hours typing an email is probably not as valuable as spending 3 hours creating a really powerful feature that is going to help a user accomplish their goal.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. So now we've got a clear step forward with this, and hopefully us going through this exercise has helped you think about how you could apply this when you are brainstorming, needing to come up with a new idea. You can use the brainstorming on your own, or you can use it with a team and be able to collaborate together.
For this week's experiment, find one other team member and go through this exercise with them. You've probably done brainstorming by yourself by now, and so have them watch this video, pick a topic, and go through it and let us know how it goes.